Hello, it is finally Friday, the 25th of October. I hope everyone's doing okay. We're going to take a look at crypto. Things are kind of really tense in the outside world, but seems like crypto's in its own little bubble. That might change this week. We're 7 trading days away from the US election, and because crypto has become a little bit of an election issue, it could get a little bit choppy. Maybe particularly the end of next week, which is month end on Thursday, a new month, and then on Friday, of course, non-farm payrolls. Normally, I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit of a bullish move the first half of next week because of just month end window dressing, which is when funds trying to push the prices up of a lot of stuff. Certainly in Bitcoin, which is sideways at a pretty important resistance level, we haven't really seen a bearish reversal. You can't argue that this is just a pause potentially at the top of this swing. The problem is that it's quite often, markets that move with a lot of momentum, they have to stop going that direction. So if they're falling hard, they have to kind of stop going down before they can go up again. And that's the same with going up. This is why we quite often see dojis and little inside bars and sideways trading before we see a strong move the other direction. It's very rare in markets that move well to see all the way up and then all the way back down again the next day. So really we're kind of undecided here. Still underneath the highs of November 2021 and that really kind of important sort of 69,000 zone where we've had so much trouble in Bitcoin. I really don't know which way we're going to go from here, and I think anyone who tells you they know for sure, be careful. So we are sideways at the highs, and I really don't see a good entry here unless we break out and then I think buy pullbacks. And where are the targets going to be? Well, whenever you break out from a flag pattern or consolidation like this, where it's not all level. So if we were testing these highs and we broke out above this high, that's easy. We can, use fib projections and measured move targets to get targets. But because really we haven't made a new high or low, we really have to say that these previous highs and lows are going to be trouble levels before we get to where we need to be going and going cleanly. So 71,000 and then this high here, is likely to be sticky, and then 73,500 around there is likely to be sticky before we can say, that we are cleanly broken out. So whenever particularly with bear flags, this happens a lot. You need the previous highs and lows, and you can say, like for example here, we made a very nice 3-wave rally, so we knew we weren't trending higher. And when you make a 3-wave move like this, very often the most common retrace is either previous swing lows or 78.6. So this is exactly, unfortunately, what we did here from this high to low. 3-wave move back to the 78.6, and here we are up again. So again, if we count this as a big 3-wave move, if we really roll over, if we start using these moving averages and the daily moving average, then we could very likely see if it all gets very leery out there, Trump doesn't win, something like that, we could very easily come back to the bottom of this channel, which would be a 786 retrace of this whole move, which we could count as a big, and that potentially brings us all the way back to 53. For me, I'm going to say that my kind of bull bear line is now 64,700. That's as long as we don't drop on a weekly close, drop underneath that, I think we're still going higher, and we're sideways consolidating at the top of this channel. So short term today, if you're trading this short term, there's no reason to sell this yet. I think on a long side, it's really worth a go. However, particularly if I look at the short term on the hourly here, very nice 3-wave move. I would expect this to continue higher or to retest the highs, and only a rolling over from a lower high would say, that's not going to work today. Just remember these previous highs and lows that we talked about. And the next round one on the upside is going to be that round number 70,000. Bitcoin really likes false breakout retests of highs and lows. And so 70,000 wouldn't be a surprise here at all. It doesn't mean we've broken out yet. Just be careful. So is this a good place for a hodling swing position? No, I really don't think it is. It's just too risky into all of these previous highs and lows. One thing that's really disappointed me has been how ETH has been underperforming. When we look at this ETH dollar chart, we are bouncing from a really nice level, and I keep looking at ETH Bitcoin and say, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? When we looked at this pullback, we said we really didn't want to go back underneath this daily 50 moving average because we were likely to come back to kind of much lower in this consolidation pattern and back to these lows here. So finding some support is pretty good here in ETH dollar, but this is not a bullish reversal unless we, these big, we've talked about it before, these big thrust candles halfway back is often support and resistance. So halfway back in ETH dollar here, where I would really like to see it close above if we are going to start favoring ETH. Now, I haven't actually been trading ETH against Bitcoin, but I've been trying to kind of buy more ETH because I think that we are due for that to happen. And so if we look at this here, we have to say, a close above 25.82 short-term intraday trading, or a close kind of more than halfway back or above this daily 20 moving average would be bullish. For now, hopefully we're just building a base, but when you go sideways, especially between two big daily moving averages like this, honestly, you could go sideways longer than you could be liquid and then break out a different direction. So looking well supported, but not quite the bullish reversal I wanted to see. One of the big surprises, let's take a look. This is ETH Bitcoin and why. Let's just take a look at ETH Bitcoin and we'll talk about why I've been so... Each time, we make a double bottom or a sideways range, I look for it to break out on the upside, and it hasn't. And we're falling kind of further and further away from these weekly moving averages, which gives us nice downside targets. But when I was looking at this and this really good support level, I thought this double bottom looks really good, but we didn't break out of it. We didn't break out above these daily moving averages. So I would really like to see this be a false breakdown and reverse, but at this point, unless we can get above these daily moving averages, ETH is just bouncing in a downtrend against Bitcoin and is still underperforming. If we take a look at Solana, the Solana had this big level that I was a little bit worried about, and I'll tell you why I was a bit worried about. As you know, I like measured moves. I like measuring the previous swings. So if we measure all the way back from the 5th of August low in Solana, and we project it from this lovely 3-wave pullback, we reach the equal measured move here at 174. What I didn't like about this is there was quite a lot of confluence. So we could do the same again from this low to high here. And you can see that this is also here an equal measured move. So this is a little bit ropey. It could potentially all just be corrective here if we reverse. At the moment, we're going sideways. We pushed through it and closed above it on the daily last night, not last week. If I put Fib retrace levels on from this high to low, this is also a 786 Fib retrace. This first swing went to a 61.8, which makes this a bearish Gartley if we trade underneath here. And so if we reverse at a bearish Gartley like this, we trade underneath this support level, it means that the most common retrace from this low to this high is a 786, which would be back to these lows at 125. And so this is kind of key, and it's also these previous highs and lows here around 160. So I'm not too worried about longs in Sol as long as it holds above 160 on a close. But if you bought it up here because you thought it was about to fly last night or yesterday or in the last couple of days, you might get a little bit uncomfortable if it comes back and tests 160. For now, just like Bitcoin, this is sideways consolidation, nothing to worry about. And obviously, if we continue higher here, this 188 zone is going to be really interesting resistance, and then the highs, and then we can say, yeah, probably we have broken out in Solana. So not a reversal yet, not in terms of daily candlesticks, not in terms of how far we've pulled back. If we take a look on the hourly at our, hourly moving averages, there is the potential that we swing a little bit lower here to this previous swing low, or perhaps this previous swing low at 164 in Solana. And because this doesn't look like a three-wave correction, which most other decent corrections have, I don't think this is a good place to buy more Solana, but I wouldn't necessarily give up on your longs here yet either. Okay, next one we are going to look at. My favorite trade today is SUI. So let's talk about why. For a retest of the highs. Now, at the moment in SUI, this looks like a textbook equal measured move. In fact, if I measure this first swing as well and project it, this is whichever swing you look at. So this looks like a 3 drives pattern with 3 equal swings high. These measured moves tend to keep doing that. I'm not going to be bearish though. I'm going to think we see a big pullback to 163 if we close underneath 1.9. For now though, it's looking potentially like, if we go down to the hourly, and let's put regular candles on. This has made one of those 3-wave measured moves. This second swing is pretty, let's measure this, show what I mean. So when you make these 3-wave measured moves, there's kind of 2 relationships. If it's the third swing being 61.8 of the first swing, this magnet's not working, there we go, which is kind of where we are. I'm not going to fiddle with it now. But this and pull back to the 236 fib with an equal measured move really is a good place to attempt to bounce. And for me, this is where, a close and hold under 190 was where I was going to sell the rest wait for that bigger pullback. So holding underneath 190 gets me out of SUI longs. For now, I think that this looks pretty good for a retest of the highs. Just don't be fooled if we double top or if we have a false breakout above these highs, then watch out for that, because that would be a topping pattern. I think above this hourly 200 moving average would be a really good sign. We're on our way back up there or holding above it. Either way, we should see another swing higher here, and let's see how high this goes. For me, I'm wrong underneath 190, so I kind of like trades where you're pretty close to where you're wrong because you don't have to risk so much. So SUI looks like a pretty nice 3-wave correction and potentially setting up for a bounce here. If we look at it on the 4-hour, yeah, let's see. That's kind of in a market where everything is pulling back. I think that is looking good for at least another swing higher to halfway back of this drop in SUI. Let's talk about GOAT, which has been quite fun because GOAT has done a very similar thing. Looks like a 3-wave pullback back above these hourly moving averages. I think that we could see a bigger move higher. What I really like about this is we have held these lows that we made from midweek. So remember, when you're trending, it's a very common to pull back to the previous wave 4. So that's what we've done very nicely here. Let me take these measured moves off. And this lovely 3-wave correction back to this previous swing low for me is pretty textbook. If you're not sure, one rule in Elliott Wave is they say that if a market's trending, it will stay within a parallel channel. So if we draw what's going on here in GOATC as a parallel channel, which we can do very nicely, we've got 3 or 4 touches on the bottom, we've got 2 touches on this upside. If we break out here, then that would be us going up. I have to say though, we have got, third touches of trend lines and horizontal or sloping, very often a false breakout. So I wouldn't be surprised to see here a little bit of a false move higher and a pullback to shake people out. and then we go back 0.8 first target, and that round number 1.0 would be my second target in goat. I think it's setting up for another swing higher, but I would really like it above this hourly moving average. You can look back and see how these moving averages have been pretty clear support and resistance. So don't be surprised initially if this is a false breakout here, and if we can't actually break out and hold out from this declining channel in goat, we are not going up, we are still going down, and expect a retest of the lows at 0.6, which has been pretty important support and resistance. And watch out if we break 0.6, because everyone will be talking about this as the head and shoulders pattern, so be careful. Okay, let's talk about Simon's cat, because Simon's cat had a big move today, another listing. You know, it's quite a good lesson. Some of these kind of go sideways for quite a long time, and then when they get their listing, off they go. So let's find Simon's cat. Here we go. This has had a really nice move. Now, when I look at a chart like this, first off, I think, gosh, this is really nice. Wave 1, this wave 2, wave 3 is really extended. So I'm looking for a shallow pullback in a wave 5 to at least retest the highs and potentially see new highs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I use fib levels to help me. So if we go from this high to low here, this is a 786 fib. We might just go, shallow here and find support at this 61.8 level. We go down to the 4 hour. This would be back towards these swing lows, so 37,000 maybe. Nice 3-wave measured move correction. I think that this would be a good look. And then looking for a retest to the highs. Back underneath, because this is a reversal at 7.8, back underneath, I think that we will see a bigger drop into the middle of this range before we go higher, or might even go lower again. So Simon's cat, a shallow pullback to support as long as it holds above 37,000, I think it's still going up, and we're not going to see a bigger pullback towards 31,000. Nice look in this one, but not quite out of the woods yet until we get out of this channel. Now, Mudeng had really good news today. Let's talk about Mudeng. So Mudeng jumped from 70 mil market cap to 180 mil market cap so far after Binance announced it was listing it on the perps listing, and it's bounced to a really interesting level. But first of all, let's just look at this chart, because how many of these meme coins that launch look like this? They trade at new lows and then boom, they get their listing and they are off to the races. So I've drawn this as a big parallel channel, right? So we've got a couple of touches on the bottom. So I'm kind of saying this should be my long-term target if Mudeng keeps going. How are we going to know if Mudeng is going to keep going? I'm going to put my fibs on from this high to this lowest low. And we're going to go level to level to level. So we've paused at this 38.2 fib level at 0.1739. And this 2.3, which is really clear, obvious support and resistance, we're likely to have a pause here. But as long as we don't close back underneath this 236 fib level, down here at 0.1311, I think this one's still going up. And when you get a listing like this, initially it will keep going and it'll do shallow pullbacks. And if we look at the move down here from the lows and this wave 2, I think we'll do a shallow wave 4 here, and then we should keep going higher, and we'll trade level to level to level. So 0.2, 0.243, and then 0.29 if we kind of do a false breakout of this channel. May not even be a channel, maybe I've drawn it wrong, maybe we should be putting it from this low to this high, and we could go a little bit higher even. So this 38.2 fib level, this really important support and resistance, I think at this point we could see a bit of a bigger pullback. There's also in technical analysis, a wolf wave. So when you do, because this looks like potentially 5 waves down, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Certainly there's 5 waves in this final swing. And if let me draw that. So if you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a very common, the target when it's a wolf wave is you draw from the bottom of wave 2 to the bottom of wave 4, and that's your target. So if we bounce from here, this would be our target. Now, they don't always look like this. Sometimes your moves are over choppier and overlapping. So if they were to look like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you would draw your wolf wave like this. And that's your target here when we bounce, right? So that's wolf spelled W-O-L-F-E. So if we say this is 1, 2, 3, this is our wave 4, then our wolf wave target is kind of horizontal, isn't it, with this support and resistance. So it's support and resistance, it's the wolf wave target, it's a 38.2 fib. There's a lot of resistance here at 0.17, but above 0.17, again, we'll climb fib level to fib level to fib level. And I'll put them back on. And we can say that that is not, if this is just a bearish bounce, 0.2 and 0.24. We could end up, and these big charts like this, we could end up seeing a bigger head and shoulders pattern here. So if we don't hold that, we could end up doing a big, and that I think would be a really good pullback entry if you've missed this one as well. So just watch out if you've been long Mudang. Potentially we are at a level where we could see a bit of a bigger pullback. No reversal yet, no reason to short it, but just watch out for longs. There's another one, non-MPC. This is a Solana coin as well. This one is not. This one I'm like because it's really respecting these fib levels. So if I go from the lows on the 15th of September to the highs on the 15th, 16th of October, a month later, I put my fib retrace levels on. This 236 fib initially was really interesting support when we first tried it. We bounced 50%, this 38.2, which is always messy. We bounced from back to retest this 236 fib, and then it's resistance. And so here we are at a 50%. So this is a really good place to bounce from. The thing about 50% is very often that's the end of it. We have also made one of those potentially bigger 3-wave corrections here. So how will we know if we've broken this pattern of climbing the ladder lower? A close above this 38.2 and above 0.027 would be that confirmation. So for now we can say, each time you get under a level, you're still going down unless you get back above there. So short term, that would be my target. If we continue lower, if we close underneath 0.022, 0.018 would be the next good support for this one. But, if we look, just zoom out a bit. If we look at the extraordinary way that we rallied and then this choppy overlapping pullback, this says this is corrective. On the daily, we've pulled back 50% to the daily 20 moving average. For me, that's normally quite a good long reversal entry, but it will only be confirmed by a close above 0.027. Okay, good luck. Let me know if there's anything you're